And we are back with Shark Motorsport in January 1970. We just released the Amakua 2. We hit a new top speed record for our company of 256 miles per hour. We are still trailing far behind our competition, with Dotmer velocity hitting 319 miles per hour with a naturally aspirated engine. And Razzo, who somehow came out with some new technology called a turbocharger, hit 370 miles per hour. We've got a little way to go. We're just 114 miles per hour short of that. So we need about a 50% improvement on our car. That's doable. I think we can do that. So the first change we got to make, because we are not at turbochargers yet, we're going to try to catch them. So we bought a couple of the Razzo cars. We are currently dismantling them so that we can reverse engineer the turbos and steal that technology for ourselves. But until we get there, we will first do a facelift on the Ocean 2. Got this up to 340 horsepower and 365 torque. So that's going to be in our GT cars. So the other big change that Shark Motorsport made in the 1970s is we're developing a new car. It's going to be called the Hammerhead. This will be a different approach than we had in the past. We had originally taken our Amakua 1 and converted it into a GT car and made the Amakua 2 the racing car. Now we could have continued that, but the Amakua 2 body isn't really made for doing that. Because of the switch to the mid-engine, we only have a 2-seat option, and this body actually doesn't have a convertible option. So we're really limiting our market if we just made that car. The Hammerhead gives us several opportunities. It's going to be a front engine, big front engine car. So if we need to, we could always switch our supercar to this body and go back to the front engine if things don't work out the way we anticipated with the mid-engine layout. So it's dual purpose. It gives us 2 bodies to choose from for our supercar, and it gives us a good platform to sell to the GT market. As you can see here, we've got the Coupe, which is a 2+2, and we also have Targa hardtop convertible is the route that we're going. So for the Coupe, kind of give it that 70s look up front here. Nice hood scoop. Basic early model sunroof here. Kept some of the design elements of the original Amakua. 5-speed manual. It's because we don't have advanced automatic yet. Switching to the regular automatic is just it's too crappy of a gearbox. They still prefer the manual in the GT market. But we did switch to clutched LSD for this, being rear-wheel drive, front engine. I was going to say heavier car, but it's not that heavy. It's under 3,000 pounds still. It does give us, we still have a 1.7% wheel spin, hitting 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. Not bad for 1970. We're toning it down a bit. We're going base alloy now. We don't really need the magnesium. We do have solid disc. 2 piston on that. Get some familiarity with the semi-clad. We're already at 31.5, but might as well get some more. We are going handmade, luxury 8-track, advanced 60s. The GT market really does care about their safety, even though it doesn't show it that much. You know, it just shows 9.5%. But, you know, if you look at desirability with the advanced, it's showing 216.4. Going to the standard, that drops to 207. That's actually quite a big drop. So we're going to stick with the advanced. I don't think we're going to switch this suspension. It's just the engineering time and production hurts a little bit. So we're going to stick with progressive here, gas monotube. And that's it. You can see here the price target we're trying to hit, 43.4 and 46.9. Showing our sales should be about 181 cars with only 14.5% awareness. You know, you can see here, you go up 10%, which is doubling your awareness, but 14 to 24% is not that huge of a jump, and we really can take off with the sales. So the 181 cars that we're expected to sell, and with the small one factory, we can produce 173. So we're actually going to probably outsell our production here, which is not a horrible thing. It'll allow us to raise the prices even more, which should get us above the 100% margin. But as is, we are expected to make about $40 million a month now, which, as you can tell from our finances, we desperately need that to happen, as we are only sitting on $16 million cash with a $4.5 million valuation and a D+ credit score. It's going to allow us to take out a 100% loan at 6.82%, which, considering we have a really crappy company value and not a ton of cash, only about a third of what we need, less than that, I think we'll take it. We also decided to facelift the Amakua 2. We didn't do that at the same time as we started the Hammerhead because it wasn't going to take as long for the engineering on that. So we waited a couple years and then did the facelift. You know, we built up some inventory. As you can tell, as both of these are launching at the same time, we still have a little inventory left over. I mean, it's 1 month, it's no big deal. So pre-orders are amazing right now. We've 7.5 months of back orders for the Amakua 2. 380 pre-orders. It's quite a good number here. For the new Hammerhead car, this is perfect. Exactly what we're looking for. Total of 14-month back order. So we're going to be able to raise these prices even higher than our initial targets here. With 1,400 cars of the coupe and another 1,000 of the Targa. We've got about $7 million in the bank here. Took a big loss the last month, which was really, you know, just the construction of the factories and everything. Company value has skyrocketed to $35 million with the launch of these cars. Alright, we waited a few months to see where our sales were going to be at before we went to the next facelift. The new Ocean is going to have our first turbos, and we're pushing to get this car out in early 1978 so that we have time for a quick facelift in which we might be able to get fully clad on the car. We're 3.5 years away from that tech, so that's going to be really close, but we have a lot of R&D going into Aero, so we might be able to get it out. Twin scroll is not going to happen. Well, actually it doesn't matter because we have quad turbos, so we don't need twin scroll, or can't put that in there. Yeah, and this is not going to matter at all. and we will not be putting a Cadillac converter in. So to show you what we were doing mid-decade on research and development, now that we're actually making some money, up to 43 million company value, 13.5 cash, we're making $3 million a month. We wanted some base in all categories, which is why you see the plus ones. Engine architecture and turbos, we started boosting a little bit. Body and aerodynamics, and these are the categories we're really going to focus on bumping up more. But we've got, that's a pretty decent chunk of the pie chart going into research. Marketing, we're not putting a ton in because of the research, but we were also struggling financially for 2, 3, 4 years to start the decade. So we were really kind of handcuffed as far as what we could do. And the new Hammerhead is really opening up things for us. As you can see, that's bringing in almost $6 million a month profit for us now. And the Amakua is still making money. Alright, so the Ocean 2. The new facelift, not much has changed with our GT engine. We are now up to 360 horsepower, 372 torque. This is still the good old 5-liter engine that we've stuck in there. So our first attempt at a turbo engine. As you can see, we don't really know what we're doing yet, but we have now squeezed out 1,423 horsepower from our 6.2 liter V12, which was quite a feat for our engineers. As you can see, we're having a little issue with the crank. 937 torque is supposed to be our cap. We're a little bit over that at 1162. So this number is not looking great, which is killing the reliability. We are just above the legal limit here at 5.4. So we couldn't really do anything else with this engine at this point in the 70s. Hopefully for the facelift in a few years, we'll have a little bit more wiggle room. As you can see on that last screen too, we're cost just keeps going up. 7,100 for this engine now and 10,400, which that's a lot of money for engines that we are actually producing in-house. So we're doing a minor facelift on the Hammerhead. For that car, it was really just getting it up to date, putting any tech that we can into it, putting the updated engine into it. We're supposed to make 94 million a year, well, the first year, but pretty much every year we're supposed to make about 90 million on this car, selling it at 46.8 for the coupe and 50 for the Targa. We upgraded the factory to a small 2, now allowing us to make 251 of the trims, which basically doubled our capacity. So that was most of the $38 million cost, was the factory upgrade there. The Amakua 1, most of this $9 million was the R&D and tooling, as we did not change anything with the factory. So looking at what we did, again, this is not our final car. This is just mid-decade updates. We do have a manual 5-speed, transverse rear-wheel drive, clutched LSD, still with the hard long life tires. Vented disc 3-piston we now have. It's still got the semi-clad, as we don't have fully clad available. And it's, it's targeting a top speed of 300 right now. So we're still a bit off. You know, we're hitting the 1960 numbers from Razzo, and just beating Dotmer's 1960 numbers. But it's a huge step forward from our 256 miles an hour. Just hitting 296 is a giant leap of 40 miles per hour. And we're able to sell this car for about $60,000, and it still thinks that we're going to sell 35 of them, which pretty sure our factory can only make 49, so that's not too far off. As you can see, it's the cost is the engineering. So total cost of $9.07 million, 8.99 is engineering. We're not doing anything with the factory. So now with $13.5 million in the bank, $43 million company value, we are making $3 million a month, and this project is going to take a little over 3 years. We do want to start putting more money into R&D, but we really don't want to take out too many loans, as you know, those can start to pile up and cripple you financially. So, you know, based on this, we're going to go no loan. And the reason we're going to go no loan is if we just kept making this $3 million a month over the next 40 months, that's $120 million plus this $13 million, meaning we can easily cover the 60, and we can still invest in R&D and marketing. And I think this $3 million is going to go up even more because we still have a huge backlog on cars here. You know, we're still 14 months behind on the Hammerhead, 6.5 on the Yamakua. We can raise this pricing and make even more money. Alright, so we've reached June of 1978. As you can see, we kind of had some money issues, and that is because we decided not to take a loan out for this last facelift. So our cash did dip quite a bit, getting to a very scary number right before the launch, but then it escalated as these cars are bringing in a ton of money for us now. You know, we're selling these for the same price that we were several years ago, but we are making $300 a month instead of $120. So the Hammerhead model is now bringing us in almost $8 million a month, while the Amakua 2, the supercar, is actually bringing in a profit of $1 million a month. What this has allowed us to do, this $8.5 million here, is to significantly increase marketing. Now at $4.5 million. That looks like a huge chunk, and it is. That's over 25%. But that's how you keep growing this number. The more we market, as you saw before, our share was not the greatest. It's getting better now. Now we have, you know, if you look at here, just in Florinia, GT market, 45, 46%. Dulua, same thing. The quicker you grow that, the more you're going to sell, the more money you're going to make. So it costs a lot of money to do early, but it's worth it in the long run to have that saturation earlier in the game than later in the game. We've also increased our research to 2.18 million. As you can see, aerodynamics, we've got to a +4, body was a +3. So this is the next thing we will start using this excess money for, is we'll make this chart probably as big as the marketing chart next. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we did to the engine. Alright, for the 62T, the 6.2 liter turbo, we made some slight adjustments from the original. You know, I think we were around 1,400 horsepower. We cranked that up a little bit. We're now at 2,044 horsepower and 1,264 torque. We still have some issues. But now it's not just the crank. Now we have issues with the crank, the conrods, and the pistons. Yeah, that's we're looking good. 5.1 reliability. Customers are going to love this engine. We do offer a outstanding warranty with this car. Shark Motorsports stands behind its product so much that we're giving a limited 12-month warranty with this car. Yes, you heard me right. 12 whole months. We will fix anything that goes wrong. There are some disclaimers around that though, so make sure you read that. So we didn't change too much with this stuff. It was mainly with the turbo, upping the quality. You know, as you can see, we're quality +5, +4, +3. So all those sliders helped us get the reliability up, allowing us to increase the engine performance in return. And this is on regular 86 fuel that we're achieving these numbers in 1978. There she is. What a beauty. I think it's just I don't know how that's actually supporting itself. It's just kind of floating, I guess. Maybe those are holding it up. I don't know. Alright, so to the cars, the Hammerhead we will touch on real quick. Nobody really likes the Targa top customer base. This is actually the highest we got was convertible super, but only 65%, which is interesting because they sell really well. So, you know, desirability 65%, but when you looked at our sales, it was even. The coupe and the Targa both sold 137. So we're going to kind of ignore that for now because the coupe in the GT market, 261, they love it. So we didn't change much with these cars. We won't go over them in detail really. The only thing I'll show you is kind of what we did with engineering and pricing and everything. So you know, as you can see, to get it out in 18 months, you can't really do too much here. I mean, we do have the process all the way up to get the cost down as much as possible. Well, more profit, that is. We can make 375 of them now. We've gone up to the small 3. This is as big as we can go unless we buy a new factory, which I'm not sure if we're going to do that. So at 46.9 and 49.9, we're at 150% margins. We're expected to make 135 million a year on this model. That's outstanding. Now for the big one, the one we're all here for, the Amakua 2, fastest car in the world, that we are selling for $65,000. Actually, not too much above our GT pricing. And 100% margin, and it's actually going to bring us in about 16 million a year. Not bad. So let's see what we did. Ignore all this. The car's fine. It has no issues. The engineers think it's perfect. I don't know if we had this on the last version. I don't think we did. We had to add a wing. It's not as amazing as Dotmare Velocity's first wing that they had to put on their car. I mean, that thing was just, it was beautiful. I don't think anyone can ever match that. So we just put this little tail on here to help us out. We do have clutched LSD, 5-speed manual. So this is saying top speed of 333 miles an hour. Here it's showing 341. We'll see what we can actually do in Dulua. Getting some pretty beefy wheels on it now. Tires, I should say, 315 width. So we had to stick with semi-clad. This was not ideal, as we are at 15 quality, 4 body, but 15 for aero. And I'll show you real quick the reason we could not switch to fully clad. So if you look over here at engineering time, currently is 121.5. We click on fully clad, it jumps up to 168.8. We need this car to come out in 18 months. As you can imagine, that's not going to happen. Production also goes from 224 units to 243 units. So fully clad is not going to happen. Not for this car. Probably not ever for this body model. I think we've got to start from scratch with a new body to go fully clad. We'll see. We'll see after this car comes out. Some of the stuff like luxury A-Track, we actually chose to add some weight to it. Sometimes the extra weight actually helps. And this is all pretty basic. So let's go to the test track. Alright, let's see how fast this goes into Lua. Alright, 340 miles an hour. Wow, that was quite a jump for Shark Motorsport. I know that it's still not shocking numbers compared to some of the competition. In fact, we are still short of Razzo's 1970 mark, which was 370 miles per hour. We're 30 miles per hour short of that, and I am sure they are going to have a faster car coming out any day now. But for us, it was a huge leap. We went from 256 miles per hour on our last car to 340 miles per hour on this car. So we had a jump of 84 miles per hour from last decade to this decade. And for the first time, we are actually above Dattmer Velocity's last decade record. So for us, it's an achievement. We're going in the right direction. I think we're catching up to these companies, and we will just continue to do this going into the next decade. So we are at launch. We are in December 1979. The cars just launched. 309 pre-orders for the Amakua 2. The Hammerhead has a healthy 8.5-month backlog at 1770 and 1480 pre-orders. So let's go ahead and sim this month. And boom! There it is. We delivered 52 Amakuas. Not bad. We are doing great financially, in a much, much better situation than we were last decade. I'm not too worried about this company value, even though it's kind of dropped in the credit score, because we're at $3 million loan, but it's a 3-year loan that we took out here just to develop the fastest car. So this will be paid off before the next facelift comes out. We're still making $5 million a month now, while marketing at $4.6 million and putting $2.2 million into research. So financially, we're doing good. We got $25 million in the bank while making money.